Legos, satellites in outer space, and your work as a private investigator. What do these things have in common? Hi, I'm Larry K, ShadowAnyone.com, and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, Premium Private Investigator Training, from someone who's been there and done that. Now, I was recently reading in Fortune magazine a journalist, Jeff Colvin, who was writing about companies that are making money in the tech industry without inventing any new technology. And a very interesting case, one of these types of things that he cites is Planet Labs. Now, what Planet Labs is doing, they're sending up satellites into outer space. Right now they've got 28 up and running. They plan to have 131 satellites up. And what they're going to do is they're going to photograph the Earth every day. And there's different markets for this. This has not been done in the past, certainly not commercially. But things like ecology or flood damage, massive rescue things, all sorts of types of industries are going to apparently need these photos. But the interesting thing is Planet Labs has not created any new technology. The satellites that they're sending up are about the size of a shoebox, a large shoebox, or as one source told me, kind of off to the side, they're about the size of a toaster oven. And the clever thing about it is they are just using off-the-shelf parts. So they haven't created any new image stabilization software. There's no new lens technology. They're using off-the-shelf technology that any of us could buy. They're using like laptop batteries, and they're using microchips from cell phones, for example. And they're just combining them in a new way that no one has done before in a small enough package that makes it economical enough to send these things to outer space. Now, what the journalist refers to this as is the Legoization. In other words, they're taking the same Lego pieces that are available to everybody, you and me even, and they're combining them in different ways. So they're taking a square Lego and a rectangular one and one with wheels, and they're putting it together to do something that hasn't been done before. Why in the world does this matter to you as a private investigator? Well, this is what we private investigators have been doing for generations now. We take the Lego pieces, the sources that are available to anyone or just about anybody out there, and we put them together in a special way that other people don't understand. Now, yes, there are restricted access databases and sources that we have access to. If you get your license, you'll have access to. But generally, and I'll tell you, you can do an awful lot with what we would consider open source type things. And let me give you an example of this type of thing. You're hired to find somebody. Maybe it's a witness for a case. Maybe they vacated an apartment near a crime scene, whatever. You need to talk to this person. And what you have to go on is, you know, the guy's name is Dave, and he had a baby named Sophia last January. So this is what you've got to go on. Find Dave. He's a new father of a baby girl named Sophia who was born last January. Now, there are a variety of ways you can go about doing this, but let me lead you down one path that would work for you. You go to the Bureau of Vital Statistics and you start looking through the birth index, and you find, just going through it line by line perhaps, that you have found here's a parent, a father named Dave, who had a baby girl named Sophia in January, and that's a good solid lead. There's not going to be, that's an unusual combination, and even if you get two of them, you can eliminate pretty easily. For example, if you're looking for one in central Indiana and the index has two of them, but one's off near the border, then you can pretty much presume who you're looking for there. Follow up on all your leads, but you kind of know who you're looking for. So now you have the actual name on the birth certificate of the father, or even just in the index will give you this person, Dave's full name. Now, what do you do from there? You're also going to find the mother's name. And so you might now go to the probate court and start looking through marriage records and find the marriage license for this couple. And it may have been, you know, a few years ago, recently. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. But for purposes of an example, there's a lot of threads you can pull on once you know somebody's name. But going to the probate court, you pull the marriage certificate. Now there you're going to find information including parents' names, the preacher who did the ceremony, those types of things. But interestingly enough, you might also find occupation listed there. Now for your guy, Dave, nothing helps. He's listed as unemployed or between jobs, but his wife is listed as working as a nurse at a local hospital. Now she may or may not still be there, but if she's a nurse, she has a nurse's license, and you take that to the Department of Health. And you look through the licensing in Department of Health for a nurse with this name, and you find she does still have a current license, and here's her current employer. And I want you to see how you are getting closer and closer, and you can follow this thread a variety of ways to find your guy, but you can see where this is going to lead you to your guy. Now, what have you done differently than anybody else? There's no new source that you've cultivated. You haven't used anything sneaky, and you haven't used any pretext. You're taking the same Lego blocks that are available to everyone, and you're putting them together in a different way. Now, the people over at Vital Statistics, they will know their department very well and can be very helpful to you. But they don't know anything about the probate court. Likewise, probate court has no idea about Vital Statistics, no idea about Department of Health, but you can go over to Department of Health and get the information you need there. You're the one who has all the different Lego pieces, or enough different Lego pieces, to put them together and solve the case, to find your guy, to do the interview, or whatever it is you need to do. So this idea of there's something new out there, there's a new technology, there's a new this, a new that. Yes, there are new things coming online. Some of the databases out there right now, if you knew about them, you would lose your mind how thorough and wonderful they are for finding someone. But if you are a privacy nut a little bit like me, they will drive you up the wall as well. But you know, this has been going on for decades and decades, where private investigators have taken information that most people don't even know is available and put it together to solve a case and make money. So what I want you to do is I want you to know that that's how your job comes together. If you want a shortcut to finding those types of sources, you start to study, get some training material somewhere. I mean, spend some time training yourself on these things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. I'd love it if you got some of my stuff. We have the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Missing Persons and Fugitives at beapi.com, and that really takes you in depth with these sources, walks you through them, how to use them, how to connect them, just kind of like in this case I talked about here. But I've also got a very good section on skip tracing in the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Process Serving, which for a lot of people is going to be a good starting place. It's a way to get into the industry getting paid. It's not what we think of when we say I want to be a private investigator, but it gets you working and gets you paid to be tracking down people, even doing some surveillance, those types of things. So be sure to check that out over at shadowanyone.com. This is Larry K, shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.